Did you think you were gonna play an RPG? Think again, idiot. Araknie here will reveal to you that Melfand Stories is a beat-em-up. Oh, indeed. And a pretty good one at that. So why you have never heard of this one yet? Because it never came out outside of Japan. Only in the last few years it got translated, if you can believe it, by some people passionate enough about it to do it. Nothing official. After all, this comes from ASCII. They don't exist since 2008, so hard for them to make anything anymore. Even if the true developer uncredited in the game is Sting. Yes, they're called like that. It's just the name you might think they reference. They like bees, and they're still around. That's what you get for not crediting your people. So yeah, a true beat-em-up. Some gimmicks, but they respect the format here. No constantly changing genres like in Battletoads. Yes, I will be forever scared by that NES entry. So, what you do here is having a few options. Controls are a bit different, but they work pretty good. You press B to jump and Y to attack. It's actually pretty comfy since you get to use your thumb in a more natural diagonal way. You just scroll it up and down between the two at your leisure, so that makes for some quick reaction. And make playing it easier. Plus you press A to throw your special if you collect it. Yeah, there are many treasure chests. Some could be mimics or negative effects, but they all drop something. You certainly won't leave empty-handed when opening one of them. Some will even drop magic every once in a while, and that will be elemental. Some are better than others, and each boss has a specific weakness. If you guess the correct one and use the magic at the right moment, you can one-hit kill them. That's pretty powerful. That's it for all you can do, but this game surprises you with a character selection. 4 people, and they all have their storyline. More on that later. First of all, a quick rundown of their specifics. Elle is a classic warrior, balanced, not quick but not slow, and with a 3-hit combo that doesn't suck too badly. Course is a lancer that is quite slow but is much more powerful. If you manage to get all the strings of it to connect, you're good to go in any situation. Also pretty good against flying monsters. Lemon is a mage and she's extremely powerful. Her problem is that she's pretty slow, and to get all her magical attacks to connect you need to prepare yourself quite in advance. Also she can only shoot forward, so unlike Elle and Course, she's pretty terrible against flying creatures. Nora is the last one of the bunch, and she's a whippersnapper. I mean, she uses the whip. She also has only a straight shot, so forget about anything flying above you, but she's faster and her combo is easier to perform, so she compensates with that. But I talked about character stories earlier, and yeah, this might surprise you, but this isn't a linear game. You choose where to go in 3 different occasions, and that leads to a total of 9 stages, but you can only see 5 each time you play. There's also 3 different ones you can access before you get to the final one. And depending which one you exit from, you get to visit a different part of the final castle. Oh yeah, and that includes different normal enemies, different layouts and rules, different mini-bosses and different stage bosses. That's pretty incredible. And that's because each of the characters has a specific path they have to take to reveal their story. I discovered 2 of them fully, completely by accident. The ones of Lemon and Nora. You can tell because you will find a character completely related to them, and they'll go about on a more personalized dialogue compared to all the other interactions. The levels are nothing too special, but they try to throw a couple things in, like climbing stairs or riding a giant bird. You might even find a forest of poison fungi. They try for some variety, I can't complain. The bosses are wildly inconsistent in difficulty, but I think it's a problem of them having those weaknesses. You can't balance those too well without making it frustrating. I certainly know I prefer a boss I can cheese, if I know what to use, than ones that require so much precision they lose any sense of fun. So it's a pretty involved game, but what's missing? It's a console game from 1994 that feels more bare bones than arcade games from the same year. Melfand Stories uses a basic D&D theming, and it's in the same genre of Tower of Doom from Capcom. The difference between the two is pretty clear, and they released the same year. Yeah, it would have been cutting edge in 1991, but not on the same period that the first PlayStation came out in Japan. At least they took great care of the visuals, can't complain there. There's so many aspects to this that are extremely appealing, but I'll just restrict myself to the major ones. First of all, they do have a masterful grasp of Mode 7 and scrolling perspectives. This game uses the template of Final Fight bonus stages, and does at least one cool thing with it. You travel on a cart and have to fend off harpies before you reach the city. Now that's some fun, see how many you manage to kill before you reach it. And yeah, the background does get closer and more detailed. Also many levels of parallax scrolling are layered in the most beautiful locations, or the ones with the most intense colors for the sky. And talking of those, this game pops out visually for sure. It's mostly because of looking at it without knowing anything about it that I wanted to play it. Musically instead, it was a pretty generic fantasy. Yes, the soundtrack doesn't evoke anything too special, it's played out. If you've heard some fantasy music from any of the lesser known fantasy RPGs from the 90s, you've heard this. It's there. Sometimes it can surprise you with some connecting bridges, and how it handles the looping nature of it, but aside from a few riffs, there's nothing here that is specific to this game. It doesn't have a musical identity, its own sound is lacking. But after all of that, I can't say I leave angry about this one. On the contrary, I think Melfand Stories is an honest 7.5 out of 10. Almost great. What was missing is a bit more depth compared to its contemporary examples. It's a game that harkens back to what used to be done 3 years prior, and that's not convincing anymore. If you wanna see me play the games that I will review plus some extra stuff, catch me on Twitch at Araknie Retro. It's my natural habitat, you see. Until next time, ciao ciao!